After saying this, he breathed on them and said, "Receive the Holy Spirit. If you forgive anyone's sins, they are forgiven. If you retain anyone's sins, they are retained." So today I want to start with this passage of the Gospel of St. John, chapter 20, verses 22 to 23, to talk about the wonderful Sacrament of the Penance. Some people say merely confessions or the Sacrament of Reconciliation. I'm not going to enter into the merits of the sacrament per se because I already read where this sacrament comes from, the Holy Scriptures, and Jesus himself gave to the church, and this is a grace that is available for us today. But I'm going to talk about a couple of experiences I had while being Catholic and receiving the sacrament. So in 2012, I had a spiritual director in Brazil called Fr Marcelo Gomes, and he helped me so much. By the end of the year, he told me about an experience, a situation he passed through in order to help me, his struggles as a priest. And so in January 2013, I made my confessions with him, and while getting back home, I had a sort of a supernatural vision where I saw the blood of Christ cleansing me, purifying my heart, my soul, my spirit, my body from head to toes, and I was a completely new person. I wrote a sonnet. I'm not going to read here because it's in Portuguese, but it basically talks about this experience I had. This was in 2013. In 2017, I was living in Belfast, and I already told you before, a couple of videos are available here, but I fall down many times in sin, and I got back to the church, and I fell down again, and I got back again. And in 2012, I didn't have many friends. I didn't actually have friends within the church. And I was invited to participate in a young adult Catholic conference of the Legion of Mary in October, I think in 2017. And in there, I had a big impact in my life with so living in Belfast, because up to that time, I had a couple of experiences with God by myself. But in this retreat, in the weekend, in the Saturday, I was able to receive the grace of God through the hands of a priest, a very known priest in Belfast called Father Andrew Black. So while I was confessing my sins, I had another supernatural vision where I saw a lot of people who we were in a sort of a battlefield, and some people were with their wounds exposed. Some people were hurting, some people were bleeding, and I had this inspiration, this illumination, where the church was like a hospital, the priest was like a doctor, and we, the laity, or ourselves, like lay people, we were the ones who were bleeding and hurting, etc. So I felt an immense love for the church, for the sacraments. And so when I finished confessing my sins, Father Black, with his hands extended to me, he gave me the absolution. And while he was giving me absolution, I had a vision again, and I saw something like black energy, some, like in a spiritual world, something very bad, black stuff coming out from my soul, and this was being dissipated through the power of his hands as persona Christi. And so I told my girlfriend by the time about this experience, which is my wife today, and so she drew this. This is the perfect expression of what happened. Father Andrew Black there with his hands sucking these black things from my sins from me, and I was a completely new person. And so before, I'm trying to think here in the timing. So 2018, I had another experience with the Sacrament of Penance, where I went to make my confessions, and the priest, I can't actually remember his name. I probably will remember. I'm gonna write down here. And so he was hearing me, and he was a charismatic priest, and the Holy Spirit, in a sense, led my confessions and gave me a perfect contrition of heart. And while he was, before giving me the absolution, he was saying a few words, and I felt a big emotion, and my tears started to fall down in my face. And so I was completely taken by the grace of God. And while after that, he gave me the absolution, and I felt again the love of God, the power of God through the sacrament of penance. My heart, my soul, my body, everything in me was shaken, was, taken by the grace of God. And this always happens. The blood of Christ is poured out into our souls through the sacrament of penance. When the priest gives us the absolution, and we go and try to, we do the penance afterwards as well. But this is amazing. This happens all the time, and we just don't see. So this is just a trial for an inspiration for you to get back to the church in this month of July, to be cleansed through the blood of Christ in the sacrament of penance. God bless you.